So Kevin, we definitely understand why a geology evaluation would be difficult in presenting, et cetera. Tell us about what other careers you may have considered or what other occupations might be viable for you.
Yeah, so I guess I've thought a lot about it. But then typically it's a job at a computer, which is difficult because it's staring at a screen.
All the same issues,
all
right?
the same issues at a computer.
Right.
Driving, I don't drive anymore because I can't turn my head to the right. And my head always needs to be supported. I guess maybe now talk about the different collars. So the collar I'm wearing right now is a traction collar. It has knobs here that control how much the jaw part pushes up. And then I have an air pump that connects there. And you pump up the back pillow. So it really stretches my head out. And I use this for when I need to get work done. Like right now, I'm using it. And when I have to do things at the computer that I just have to do, then I'll wear it. And I can do this for maybe a couple, 3 hours, maybe, to where I just can't stand it because it presses down a lot here. It presses up on my jaw.
And I've also noticed that looking up is an issue, I think, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, everything is an issue.
Right.
I mean, I often I have a mouth guard that I'll wear because my chomps my teeth together when I wear this one. So this is the tight one. This is the one, it's an inflatable one, the little ball you inflate it with. And I wear this one when I take car rides because it handles the bumps well. As you can picture, this rigid one is terrible in the car. And then I have this sort of intermediate one, and I wear this one when I sleep, and often when I'm doing like chores around the house, so the cleaning or cooking or taking care of myself. I wear this most of the time, particularly since I just had stem cell injections and injected at many of the sites, particularly up behind my neck, and then actually went to the mouth and did the axillary joint right in there where C1 and C2 join. So I'm only a week out of that at this point, and we'll know in 3 to 4 months if that's going to help the ligaments tighten and gain more control.
So trying some prolotherapy rather than more fusion is basically
exactly.
Yeah.
So this collar I wear actually when I'm not wearing these two. I go without a collar when I'm laying down watching TV, and I spend a lot of time laying down watching TV. But this one basically keeps me, I can do head motions in this one, but it keeps you from going too far of that motion.
Right.
So particularly it keeps me from looking down and nodding down.
Right.
But then it's always there to keep me from going too far in any direction.
Good.
So yeah, I've thought about, could I be an Uber driver? I actually signed up for and started a course to learn to be a yoga instructor, because I figured I've done a lot of yoga. The yoga is typically what's been helping me get through all of this through the years. But then, and just doing that, there's just a lot of reading to do, and that alone that just stops me. I don't
Plus
know.
the physicality of it.
Yeah, and the physicality of it. Yeah, I don't do yoga right now. So with the lumbar fusion, I'm still under restrictions from my surgeon that can't pick up more than like 10 pounds, I think, at this point. And because I've had some infection issues, and also my nerve damage seemed to get worse after the surgery. It's kind of settling down now, but we can get into talking about leg symptoms and walking. I have to use a cane to walk these days. I can usually make it like maybe 10 or 20, sometimes 50 or so steps, and then my left leg goes into spasm and my arch collapses, and I'm basically walking with this sort of a stumpy feeling leg, and that's when I'll start using a cane. As far as my neck, it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm not under any restrictions per se, but it's do whatever I feel comfortable doing, which of course I feel pretty uncomfortable doing about anything that has me up vertical.
And a general lack of lifting, and like a lot of your stability is just not there.
Yeah. So my balance and stability, balance has always been a moving target for me because my eighth cranial nerve is getting pinched. And so that's mixing the balance signals that my brain has to decipher. We didn't talk about this one yet, but I also have what's called superior semicircular canal dehiscence. And that's basically an opening in the superior canal, which is one of 3 balance canals, where your brain, figures out where you are in space, whether you're up, whether you're down, and it helps also with what they call proprioception of, then where your body elements are, your extremities are in space, and kind of puts it all together for you. So what happens when you have a hole in that superior canal is sound waves are able to go, they get projected into your ear, and they go out to that hole. And when they go out to the hole, they vibrate the cilia of your balance canal. So vibrations, when it gets, I've had surgeries for it, so it's better than it used to be. It's still kind of bad, but at its worst, my own voice talking right now would jiggle your eyeballs, because when those cilia get vibrated, it makes your brain think that your head's moving. So it moves your eyes to stay focused on one thing, and therefore it thinks your head's moving, your head's not moving, so it jiggles your eyeballs relative to how it thinks your head is moving. And it's not something you get used to ever. I guess the funniest thing was playing kickball probably 10 years ago now. Big red ball, and I was playing left field. And so they kicked the ball, and it went over the third baseman's head, and I'm running for it trying to catch it. And this ball is just moving all over the place. Like I can't even find it. So the ball comes down, it actually hits me on the head, and then bounces forward, and the third baseman catches it. So it's actually an out.
All right, well done.
But it's the last time I tried to play any kind of sport like that, because that's when you notice is when you're walking, when you're moving, everything doesn't move right for you, and things move around. So that also, as you can imagine, messes with your balance, because the horizon's always kind of moving on you or jiggling on you. Right. And internal body noises, you hear your digestion, you hear your heartbeat, you hear all that kind of stuff that gets in through that hole. And then, so there's 2 hits to my vestibular system. And then now my legs are, just having nerve conduction issues. I have certain muscles that aren't getting good nerve response, so they aren't functioning. So I have a very awkward walk, and my left leg is the worst of them. I walk funny with a cane now.
Yeah, we'll do a track of that in a future video. Yeah. Let's talk about activities of daily living and kind of any limitations there you're experiencing.
Yeah. So typically, I'll start with I'll wake up in the morning and I've either got a massive headache or I don't. There are some days, particularly now wearing the collar, it seems to kind of help, where I don't end up rolling over into a funny position that pinches a nerve and sets everything off into spasm. Wearing the collar, I'm waking up without headaches more, I think. It's only been like a week now that I've been doing it, so we'll see if it continues. And even before, there are some days when I can wake up and have no pain and everything feels great. And it's just a weird feeling. And then I'll roll over to start to get out of bed, and then it always starts with this knot on my second vertebra, goes into spasm, and then starts the symptoms. So it's initially it's pain that shoots up into my head and down my back as I start to move around. It starts off, I get up and kind of see where I'm at. And then I'll go either get something to eat or go take a shower or go sit at the computer or do something. I'll try exercise sometimes, but that doesn't always work. But typically, kind of when I'm upright, any motion is aggravating. And again, as you can imagine, my skull slips more than it should on top of a stump of a neck that's sitting on a squishy base. a vertebra, which is T1, that doesn't have two ribs holding it in place. So, you know, all of this is kind of going like that. I've got vestibular issues, so walking around my apartment, I'm often grabbing onto things. My place is pretty small here. At this point, I'm in a studio. I live alone in the studio.
Yep.
So I've always got something I can grab onto as I walk around.
What about, are you able to shower and cook dinner? And
showering, I don't bend over. Sometimes I'll try to bring my foot up to wash it. So there's times my feet don't get washed. But generally, I've had what are called drop attacks. And it's still a little bit debatable where exactly, it's still just trying to work with my surgeons to figure out where exactly it's coming from. The thought that it was coming from my lumbar getting pinched, but now I've fused L4 to S1 and the leg systems haven't gone away. So there's chronic nerve damage there. But I still get the drop attack feelings. And I think that's really coming from the skull slipping too much. And what that sets me up for is, some people call it zero fusion or skull fusion. Basically, I would then go in for a fusion where they'd hard attach my skull to my neck. And then I would really I'd lose all, rotation and nodding would be gone. So I'm really trying to avoid that surgery. But I've had drop attacks where, toweling off out of the shower, I go to, bend over to dry my one leg off, and my other one goes out of me, and I go down. I went to it makes me like real jerky sometimes, like that, as I'm trying to walk around. And earlier, like in May this year, it was scaring me, I was losing control. So I said, okay, I got to go to the ER for this, which is just a couple blocks down the road. So I was walking out to walk down there, and I went across the street right in front of me and got halfway across and then just collapsed. So I collapsed in the middle of the street, and then I'm crawling across the street to get to the corner, and then I call 911, get an ambulance to pick me up, bring me to the hospital. And then I was at the ER for probably a couple hours. They did a CAT scan and basic stuff, and just basically wanted to push me out and say, go see your neurologist, see what's going on. So I was able to get home that night. I got out, but then I couldn't walk home. I called an Uber to take me basically 2 blocks down the road. And kind of fell out of the Uber and fell a number of times just getting into my place that night.
Wow.
So it's gotten that bad twice. Now I understand it. So I know when I start to get those feelings that it's time to just lay down and stop doing stuff. So in terms of like ADLs and daily living, there's things I have to do, doing all of this stuff for disability, keeping in touch with
dressing. I mean, there's also able to get dressed and walking around. We've talked about memory. We've talked about restroom use. Has been any issues there?
I guess not. I can still sit down okay.
Yep. And then meal preparation would be the other area.
Yeah, I make things. I'm making things now just as simple as I can. Rice and beans and rice. A lot of that. A lot of frozen vegetables that I just have to put in the microwave. Just trying to make things that don't have to spend a lot of time.
Upright and control.
All kitchen work is looking down at the counter, and that's just bad. So I do, less is always better. and then listen to my body when it's, they can only do stuff for so long, and then I got to lay down, or I'll start getting to drop attack kind of stuff. And now I'm really just, the times that doctors kind of tell you, collars too, any kind of brace or collar or pill, ultimately makes you weaker. But there's times when you need them, because I can't do things, because I'll end up doing more damage to stuff. And wearing the collar keeps me from doing that. So I'll try to take it off on the back. I do, working with a therapist now with basically lying down exercises for both my legs and for my neck. But it's basically just chin tuck kind of stuff. But that's what I'm doing now for physical therapy. Is all just lying down physical therapy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about medications. Want to do that separate?